Hey guys, how's it going? It is James Rao here from Real Impact Coaching, and I am here to give you an installment that has been coming for a long time, and that is computer basics. So I've often suggested to agents as they start off, if you don't know a lot about computers, it might be a good time to take a computer basics course. But I thought I could at least synthesize down all the stuff that I learned in Comp 101 when I went to college, just the things that you really need to know. If you know these basic things about a computer, you should be a-okay. You should be fine. So let's go over them. We're going to kind of crash into the computer. How do I use it? What are the basic things I need to know as a real estate agent? Now, there's a lot of stuff on the computer you do not need. I'm going to show you the basics that you need to use this tool as a real estate agent. So don't worry, I am going to walk you through everything. I am going to be walking through Windows. I am a big Windows guy. I do not have a Mac. I'm not good with Macs. I don't think that you need a Mac to be a real estate agent. I think that you could easily get a $300, $400, $500 HP or something like that at Best Buy or Walmart, and you'd be fine. I'm running a $500 HP from Walmart right now, and it is doing just fine for me. So don't feel like you have to break the bank on a computer. You do not need to. All right, so right now, all I've done is I've logged into my computer. I've put in my password, and I've gotten here to my desktop. Now, you'll notice here, and guys, some of this will be obvious to you for those of you that are pretty good with computers. I'm going to cover everything. So if some stuff is too simple, bear with me for those that are not computer savvy, because I teach people from all different computer expertise levels. Now, most things in computers are compared to what they've replaced from the office before. That's why we call this a desktop. This is the top of your desk. This is where you can lay everything out in an organized manner. If you have this huge desk, and you can open things up and pick them up as you go. You can grab things, you can move them around. Like if I want to move this folder to over here, I can move it. If I want to get rid of it, I could drop it in my recycling bin up here, which should be pretty self-explanatory. If you no longer want something on your computer, you can throw it in the trash can, empty the trash can, and it's gone forever, right? You'll also be adding programs onto here. So you should have a few programs. I like to everyone organizes their stuff differently. You'll see people that have almost nothing on their desktop. You'll see people that is literally covered from one side to the other. Everybody's different. Organize it how you like it. I will tell you right now, for me, I almost never touch anything on my desktop. I touch what's here on my taskbar. I'm going to show you how to add stuff on there. All the stuff that I use regularly is down here, and then I also have my real estate folder up here. That's another one that I use pretty regularly. So let's go over a few things. So on the desktop, how can I add something? Well, anytime you download something, one of the options will be, where do I want to send it? You can say the desktop, and it will pop up directly on here. Now, the main thing I think that is useful for new agents or people that are new to computers when it comes to your desktop is the file system. And you need to understand the filing system to understand computers. So think of your computer's filing system as a big filing cabinet where you have an unlimited amount of folders that you can add and add folders within folders. So folders are where you keep documents or programs or anything on your computer, right? In real estate, we have a lot of documents that we need to organize, so we have to have somewhere on our computer where we can put them. All right, so I like to use folders on the computer. So let's talk about those really quick. And one more thing I want to talk about really quick too is the hardware to use and the difference between hardware and software. Hardware is the actual physical items that you have. So my computer, which is right here in front of me on my desk, that's hardware. The camera on it, my keyboard, my mouse, all of that is hardware. Software is the things that are within the program. So the things that this folder I can pick up and move around, I can grab it and I can move it and I can manipulate it and do whatever I want to, but because it does not actually physically exist in the real world, it is software. All right? Now, the main thing I want you to understand is I would suggest having a desktop, which is a computer that stands alone on your desk, or a laptop. a portable one. I would not suggest a tablet or an iPad or just using a smartphone. A lot of the systems that we use are not integrated for that. They're not work systems. It's more of an entertainment system. So you want a computer to be a workstation. Now, the other thing I want to point out is on your mouse, if you are new to this, on your mouse, you're going to have, and I highly suggest getting a mouse. For those of you who think these are old school, this job is really hard without a mouse. So if you don't have one, don't just use the pad on your laptop. These are like $10 for a wireless mouse, or you can get a wired one that you plug right into the side of the computer. And they can be USB or HDMI. Those are the two ends, but USB tends to be what you use for everything. So you can just USB it in. So USB will be labeled on the side of your computer, but usually, like a laptop these days will have at least like 3 USB ports on it. Now, you'll learn over time with computers. I'm trying to find a little tool I have here to show you. That those spaces will run out quickly, especially if you're using things like wireless mice, wireless keyboards, so you can get keyboards that you can use remotely that are really helpful as well. Let me see here if I've got one of these. I think you have one in hand. Of course, I'm super duper prepared for this video, so I can just reach and grab it, right? But there are buses. Well, here's one. I can kind of show you this. This is a little bit different, but it does a similar job. I wish I could find my big bus. It's around here somewhere. But there's basically, think of it like a power strip. You know how like if you want to plug something into the wall, you can get a power strip and plug multiple things and they go into one outlet. They have the same kind of thing for USB. So you have a tool that you can use, usually on my desktop. I don't know why it has disappeared today. But it is a bus that I can plug in that will have multiple USBs. So I can take one USB port and turn it into 6, right? So those are made. Or you can get one of these. I would highly suggest if you're going to use a digital camera to get one of these. This is micro USB and you can go into it through USB, HDMI, or you can plug in an SD card from a camera. So these are really, really good if you're going to use a digital camera for anything, like recording or photography. So don't think you're going to run out of USB ports, but get a USB mouse, plug that in, have a mouse. Now, on the mouse, you move it around on your desktop to move your cursor around, and then you have 2 buttons, and then you have a wheel. The wheel is good for scrolling things up and down like long documents, but you have a right click and a left click. Understand that you use the left click for most everything. So you're going to get used to opening things with your left click. Like if I want to open this, I double click it with the left button and it opens the file up. If I want to add something new to my desktop, that's a time that I'm going to use the right click button. So if I click the right click button, it's going to add these tools over here. These are things that I can do to my desktop. And one of them should be new. There we go. And here's new things that I can add. The big one I want you to learn is right at the top, folder. So you can add a folder to your desktop, and that's how you create a folder. So it just popped up right here. Now if I don't click anything, I can just type what I want to create this folder. Now it's just going to say new folder. We'll call this test folder. I'm going to type that and hit enter. Now that folder is called test folder. It exists. I can grab it and I can move it around. I can place it wherever I want to. If you ever want to rename it, click it once and just one time, and it'll highlight the text and I can rename it if I want to. Or if you click it once, it might just highlight it. You see how it now has a gray box around it? Click it again one time and now I can rename it. So single clicks. But if I want to open it, I double left click it. Double click it and it's going to open it up. Now this opened what we call a file explorer. Now this is the other thing that you need to understand with the filing system is these are file explorers. This is a window that'll pop up that'll allow you to search through any and all folders you want to. Now when you click any folder, it's going to bring up what's in that folder. But from here, you can navigate to any folder on your computer. If this is too small, you can always drag it to make it bigger. Just go to the edges with your cursor and little arrows will pop up and you can click and hold with your left button and you can drag that. So when we say drag, to be clear, that means I click it with my button, but I hold down. I don't let go, and then I can drag my mouse until it's where I want to, and then I let go. So if you ever hear somebody say drag, that's what they mean. They mean click and hold, drag it in what direction you want to, and then release when you're done. You can also grab corners to do a full dilation of it. So we're clear as well. That's pretty cool. And you can shape it however you want to. You can also click anything that's resizable like this to the side of a screen. And then you can select what you want to go on the other side of the screen if you want to work side by side. And you can even change by grabbing the width of that. So if I want more space in here, less space in there, I can do that. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Just some cool little tips and tricks for you. But let's go back to this File Explorer. And you can also always make it full screen, by the way, as well. Up here, at the top, there's going to be 3 buttons that are very useful. X on the far right, that means just close it out altogether. This one right here, you see how it's 2 little boxes? I can click that and make it smaller, and now it's 1 big box. I can click it again and it'll make it full screen. Also, if I hover over it, it'll give me these options, and I can click where I want that in the screen. I just want it to be a corner. I can put this in a corner, and I can put this in a corner. Isn't that cool? It's pretty rad, right? Pretty darn cool. So I'm at my File Explorer here. Now I can add documents into that, but I can also add folders within folders. And we'll explain why we want to do that in a second. So if I'm inside of a folder here, and right now it says this folder is empty, I can still hit right click, new folder, and add another folder inside of that. Another option would be up here in the top left. There's also a new button right there. And I can click folder and name it test folder 2. And now I have a second folder inside of that folder. Now, why do I want to layer folders? That might seem abstract at first, but think of it like folders in real life, right? Let me bring up my camera so I can see what I'm showing you guys here. There we go. I'm going to pull this back over here. Okay, cool. So think of it like, let's say I had a folder in a system in real life, and I was my taxes, right? I might have a folder for my budget, and then I might have a folder inside of that folder for each month of the year, right? And then within those folders for the month, I might have expenses and I might have profits. And within the expenses folder, I might have business expenses, personal expenses, right? So I can break things up into different subcategories. The main reason I want you to know how to do this is to make a real estate folder. Now, and some tips on that. So I have a folder on my desktop called real estate. If I click that, it'll open it up, and you'll see subfolders. Folder for bold, the one I took bold in 2021. My budget, folder for buyers, a folder for farming, a folder for Ignite, different types of Ignite. Let's see, what else do I have? Life by Design, letters I've written, labels for marketing that I do, listings, stuff for mentorship when I was a mentor, open houses, so things that I use for open houses regularly, like a feedback template, welcome to my open house, the sign I use for my open house, productivity coaching, that's not going to apply to you, QR codes that I've used for different things, reference docs. So reference docs will be checklists that I use, blank contracts, hot sheets, things like that. Referrals, social media posts that I've created, stock pics, so pictures that I have that I use regularly, testimonials clients have sent me, training, vendors, videos that I've made, walkthrough videos for clients. You can see I've got a whole bunch, right? But the big ones I would think about having would be budget, buyers, and listings. So let's talk about buyers and listings first. That's easy. Have a folder in there for buyers. That way, anytime you get a buyer, you can add a folder for them in here. Once you add a folder for them, you can add documents. Like here's one of my clients. So here's a house we worked with. So when we were under contract with this house for Danny, I made a folder for the property. And this is where I added any documents that were related to that deal, right? Do the same thing for listings, because those are the 2 main types of business you work. Buyers and then listings. Like here's my house. So here's some documents from when I listed my house, my CMA, my licensee disclosure, my seller's property disclosure, my payoff for my house, a folder for the photos that I had taken. So you guys see, I've organized all of my stuff for each client. So you want a folder system for your people because you're going to need to organize documents. So know how to make folders. Now within the file explorer, I'll show you budget and then we'll talk about how to move around in here for a second. Budget, I would also suggest that you have by year, like for 2022, here's an example, and then for the months of the year. And that way you can put all of your expenses and your profit loss statements and everything in a system here. Like here's a profit loss statement for Q4 in 2021. I've got, organize it however you want to. But have something for your budget because remember, you're going to be your own accountant right now. So you need to keep track of everything you're spending for business, everything that you're making, organize that well. And a good folder system will help. Now, a couple more things in here. First, how do I move around in the File Explorer? There's backwards and forwards right here. So if I've gone somewhere, I can hit forwards to go back to it. And if I don't like it here, I can click back to go back as far as I want to. I can also create new folders right here. I can cut things out, which means I want to take them out but then put them in somewhere else. This adds them to what we call your clipboard. And once again, it is a metaphor for something that we would use in real life. If I wanted to move something in my office, right, a piece of paper, and I didn't want to lose it, I would cut it out of what it's currently in, attach it to my clipboard, move it over to the new thing, and I would paste it there, right? So that's that whole step. When I cut it, it adds it to my clipboard. That way, if I hit paste somewhere, that's what it's going to paste because it's on my clipboard, right? Now, the other option is just to copy something, and you can copy and paste it. The difference meaning if I hit cut, it removes it from this location until I add it somewhere else. If I hit copy, it keeps this version here, but it adds a new copy wherever I tell it to. So the difference between cut and copy is, do I want the document to also stay here as well? All right, there's copy, rename it. So if I highlight it, I can hit rename and it'll let me name it again. I can delete it. I can sort these so I can organize them, usually by like what name, or a really helpful one is date modified. Now this will be the order in which I save this. Like if you look at this, the first thing I ever added to this folder was the day I got my real estate license back in 2019, January. There's my certification I got. And the next folder I made was for listings. Or that's when it was last modified. I take that back. So order of when they were modified, very, very helpful. So you can say, which one did I most recently use? Which one was most recently done? Name is also really helpful. All right, so we've talked about all the tools up here. We can cut, we can copy, we can rename, we can move it, or we can share it with somebody as well. I forgot to say that. If you highlight a document, you can hit share. And it'll allow you to email it to somebody. But that's not how I usually share documents. We're going to get to that when we get into emails. All right, so we've seen a lot of really cool stuff there. We can also search for stuff within a folder in the search box if it's a really big folder. But I also want to show you this bar right here. So this is some of the main places that you will go. And if there's a place that you go to a lot and you want to pin it over here, you want it to be there all the time so it's easy to access, you can right-click a folder, hit Show More Options, usually, is it already there? Is that why it's doing that? Usually I can pin it onto there. Let me see. There it goes. I'm sorry. Right-click the folder. This one will pop up and hit Pin to Quick Access. And that'll add it over here to your Quick Access stuff, which is pretty cool. So Quick Access allows you to jump to folders that you use regularly. Like you can see I've got my listings and my buyers and my budget and Ignite and my Ignite toolkit. Stuff like that's pinned to this taskbar so it's easy to get to. It'll also be ones that you go to regularly. Like this is a listing I'm working right now. So it's since I've been going to that folder regularly, it's suggesting that one. No, a couple other big ones. If you scroll down to this PC, your desktop, so anything that you've saved to your desktop, you click that. This is everything that's on my desktop. Documents, which is where a lot of documents go. A lot of people save their stuff to their documents. And here's another big one, downloads. So this one's really, really important. Anytime you download something to your computer, which we're going to show you how to do in a little bit. If you download something to your computer, unless you tell it to put it somewhere specifically, if you just hit download, it'll go to this folder right here. So if I click downloads, this will be in order what I've downloaded and how recently. And it'll tell you, if you look, this is what I've downloaded today, this is what I downloaded last week, this is what I downloaded earlier this month. So you can go through your downloads and find things. So you'll use your downloads folder a lot. Now, how do I get to this other than opening up a folder? If you look down here, you'll see this little folder button. If you hover over, it'll say File Explorer. If you click that, it'll bring one of these up for you. And then you'll just select what folder you want to start in. I could just click Downloads right here, and now I'm back to my Downloads folder. You can open multiples of these too if you want to. That's really, really helpful. Like, check this out. Like, let's say I downloaded this, and I wanted to add it to a folder I already have, right? Here's what I usually do. Is I have one File Explorer open, and then I go down here and I right-click File Explorer, and I hit, this is kind of heavy, but hit File Explorer again, and it'll open a second one. And what I like to do is drag one over to this side of the screen, and one over to this side of the screen. And now let's say there was something in my downloads I wanted to put in another folder, right? I could click, let's say I wanted to drop it in their folder. I could just drag and drop. I could say, oh, I want this over here. I could say drag and drop and let go, and it would add it to that folder. I don't want to, because it's a different client. But that's how you do it. You could easily drag something from one folder and just drop it into the other. If you look, you'll see underneath it, it says move to. That's how you move it from one folder to the other. So another really cool thing to know about File Explorers right there. Super helpful. All right, those are my big things on File Explorers. I think we're going to move from there, but know the filing system. All right, from files, I want to talk about browsers. So browsers are how you access the internet, which you're going to have to do a lot in real estate. You're going to always be on the internet. So I would assume you already have internet access set up, or you would not be watching this video. If you are using Microsoft Edge, which is this one down here, the little wave one, I would highly suggest getting Google Chrome. Google Chrome looks like this. If you do not already have Google Chrome, and you just have Microsoft Edge, that's okay. Just go to google.com. Up here, type google.com in the search bar, and then it'll probably pop up right here using Google Chrome. But you could just search in the search bar, download Google Chrome. Make sure it's from the Google website and hit boom, Google Chrome. And I trust this because it's actually from Google. It says it's at google.com. It's not some weird website. And I download Chrome right there. Hit that button and it would download it. I've already got it on my computer. Now, let me explain what I mean here. Different companies make programs that allow you to access the internet. And different ones are built with different levels of productivity, I'll say. Google Chrome, hands down, is the best. Like, in 9 times out of 10, if something doesn't work in another operating system, the solution is open it in Google Chrome and it'll work. So even on Macs, a lot of times Safari won't work, but if you open it in Google Chrome, it will. Everybody just looks at Google as like the industry standard, so they make sure it works on Google before it works on anything else. Does that make sense? So have Google Chrome. Now when I open Google Chrome, if I have multiple emails, and you're going to need at least one Google email, I'm going to select my KW email here. It'll ask you to select your profile. So I'm logged in here at jamesrao@kw.com. So from here, how does a browser work? So I've opened up the browser. You'll first notice in the top right, it has the same buttons as before. I can X out to close it. And then I can click it down here on the taskbar or off my desktop to open it again. I can hit this little button to make it smaller or bigger. And then I can hit this to minimize it. That means it drops down into my taskbar. Now, if you look over here, you'll see Google on my taskbar right here. And you'll see it has a little line under it. That means I have a tab currently open. If I hover over it, it'll show you what it looks like. Hold on, you can't see it right now. Let me move my camera. Sorry, I got my doorbell going off. It's a loud doorbell. Oh, my wife's phone's in here. No wonder. All right, so I've moved that over. Now I'm going to hover over this again. You'll see it'll kind of give me a preview of what it has, and you see that little line under it, right? Click that. It'll open it back up. All right, so I know how to minimize. I know how to change the size. I know how to close it out. Now, the next thing is over here are tabs. So think of it like multiple tabs in a fold, like in a printout, like little tabs to mark your place, right? So you can be working in multiple places at the same time. So if you're somewhere and you're working and you want to go somewhere else, you can leave that tab open and just hit this plus sign to add a new tab. And you can add as many tabs as you want. You will see crazy people like Mark Simpson, name drop, that will have 10,000 tabs open. I cannot handle that. Some people, that does not bother them at all. I'm so OCD, I cannot have extra tabs open. So I only have the tabs I need. Like, let me give you an example. Let's say on this tab, I'm going to go to Google, right? So to go to Google, I can type in the search bar right here. Or you can use this one, to be clear. You can use this one up here to type in a URL, or you can type in right here. And I could just type in Google. Actually, check this out. This is actually a button to go to Google. I can click that and it'll bring me to Google. Although Google is doing something about Judith today, so if I click that, it's bringing Judith up. But usually if I open up Google Chrome, I can just go to Google and search whatever I want to. Now, if I want to stay in Google right here, if I want to be on Google, but I also want to open up the MLS, I can do that. I just open up a new tab and type in Flex MLS, or wherever I wanted to go. If I wanted to go to my email, if I wanted to go to Google Maps, if I wanted to go to, I don't care, on wherever, play Candy Crush, I don't know. Wherever you want to do on a tab, open Facebook, whatever you want to do, you can open that in a new tab, and you can have as many tabs open as you want. If you don't like a tab, you can close it. You can also move them around too. So if I have like 3 or 4 tabs and I don't like the order of them, I can shuffle them. I can grab and drag. Remember, that means I click it, but I don't let go of the click. I hold it down and I move the tab where I want it to and let go. Now it's in a new location. I can also pull it out of this window too. So these are the tabs, but the window is the full screen thing that's covering the screen. That's the window here. I can pull it out of that by grabbing it, and now I have a smaller window outside. See? Now I've got a smaller window inside in case I wanted to do things on a separate window. If I decided I didn't want to do things on a separate window, once again, I can still grab this tab, drag it, and drop it back into this other one. And reorder them. So these tabs are really flexible. You can grab them, you can add them, you can delete them, you can move them. Super duper fun. All right, we're just going to keep working down here. Next, I have back and forward. So if I want to go back a page, I can click go back. This is the page I was at before. Oops, I didn't want to go back. I want to go back forward. You can do that too. Here's another huge button for you. If you don't know this one yet, this is the refresh button. It's a little circle right here. Now, the general answer for what is this is anytime something needs to be reloaded because information has been updated, you can hit refresh and it will update the information. Now, the easy way to explain why you want to know this button is anytime something's not working on a website, the first thing to do would be to hit refresh. Refresh tends to fix stuff. Now, when do I not want to hit refresh? I don't want to hit refresh if something is loading, especially if it has something to do with like a payment or a confirmation. Try and let the page load as much as it can, because if you reload, it might throw everything off. It might throw the system off. So anytime you're processing a payment or confirming a listing or anything like that, I would wait to refresh. Also, don't be surprised if refreshing makes you log back into something. But a lot of times, if you're stuck, if something just won't work, the refresh option is your first button for what to do. All right, this is the where you type in a URL to a website. So you could type in any website you want to right here. You could go to Google, you could go to Facebook, you could go to National Geographic, you could go to the MLS, wherever you want to. There's trillions of websites out there. You can type any website you want to right here. Now, over here, there is a side panel. You're probably not going to really use the side panel a lot. I never use the side panel. But this is your profile. And you can jump to different profiles if you have multiple Google profiles. And then up here, you'll have some options as well. Some good options for you are opening a new window, your history, if you need to go back to something you looked at a little while ago, downloads. You can click this and see everything you've downloaded in this browser, any bookmarks that you have, which we're going to talk about in a second. Here's another big one. I can't read the screen. Or, whoa, something's wrong and everything's really zoomed in. Just go up here, hit zoom, and you can zoom in or zoom out. And if you're like, is this supposed to be this zoomed in? If it's at 100%, you know that's normal. If it's above 100%, if it's at 400%, yeah, it's super zoomed in. You need to chill out. If it's at 20%, you're super zoomed out. You need to zoom back in. Cool. Makes sense? And you can always pop it into full screen too, which I think is pretty cool. Gets rid of everything else but the internet. Boop. If I want to get out of that, if I want to get out of full screen, I just hover near the top. This little X will pop down. Click the X. Now I'm out of full screen, which is pretty cool. Let's see, anything else? If I want to print what's on the screen, I can do that, or just hold Control P. Cast is to share it onto another screen. Let's not worry about that today. There's more tools, but the big ones are print and zoom, I would say. A new tab would be the main ones that you're going to use. Like here's a thing that people I see do all the time. Let's see if I can try and mimic it. My wife does it like crazy. Like where she can like rest on the mouse and then move with the other mouse, and it will zoom her screen in and out. She does it arbitrarily. She doesn't mean to. If you're ever doing something like that, you can always go back up here to zoom back out, to reconfigure that. Using a mouse helps you from making little mistakes like that. All right, so we've gone through all of that, all the little cool buttons and whistles that are up here. Now, let's talk about the Google Suite, because I think it'd be really good for you to know how to use the Google Suite of software that you can use. So what is Google, and what are all the things that they offer? And do I have Google? Well, if you're with us, you got a KW email. So if you didn't have Google before, you do now, because your KW email is a Google email. If you wanted to make your own Google email, you can do that as well. You can have as many Gmail accounts as you want to, right? So if you want to make a Gmail account, a Google account, all you got to do, just go to Google, and if you're already signed in, you can hit sign out. And then hit sign in again. And if you didn't have a sign in, you could hit, I'm sure there's a create button. It's just asking me to log in right now. Hold on. I bet if I Google it, it'll come up. I bet I could just Google create Google account and it'll be free. Trust me, Google wants you to create an account. Don't worry about that. I bet I could do it. There you go. Create a Google account. Bam. I Googled that, support, create Google account. I can click that right there. Make my own. Like I made kwjamesrao@gmail.com before I had this email. Before that I used to go by my middle name Marshall, so I was marshallrao@gmail.com forever. I've got jamesrao1987@gmail.com. I got a bunch of emails, right, that I never use anymore. But you can create as many Google emails as you want to. Just remember, people nowadays get all the common ones because they're scammers or whatever. So you have to be creative and add a bunch of numbers at the end or something. But name specific usually works pretty well. All right, so if I have a Google account, what does that come with? And first of all, let me say, you'll know you're logged in if when you're at Google, it has your little logo or your picture or your initial up here. And you can click it and it says I'm logged in. It would say sign in or not signed in. Please sign in if you want it. But you can see it says sign out. That means I am signed in. All right? So if I'm signed in, I can obviously just Google stuff. Like, let's talk about that really quick. If you need to look something up on the internet, this is what a search engine is. Google is and started out as a search engine. That means that I can search for anything I want to on the internet. So if I want to search Pensacola real estate listings. Well, here's listings through Levin and Rinke. So they have a search site. There's the Pensacola MLS right there. If I scroll down, it's going to give me a list of the most popular websites based on this search criteria, right? Or I could search me, right? There's me. Here's my business. So you can search me and look my business up right here. I'm on Google. You can search anything you need to. And to be clear, you can ask questions. If your client says, "Oh, I'm thinking about selling the condo and getting another investment property. I'm going to do a 1031 exchange," and you're like, "Oh, I don't know what that means." You could say, "What is a 1031 exchange in real estate? How do 1031 exchanges work?" Boom, you have an answer right there, right? Notice on Google, if it says ad right here, that means somebody paid to be the top search result. If you scroll down a little bit, it'll probably have a blurb put together by Google right here. And then and then other things that people search for if you want to change up the question. And then here will be the top results, right? So that's how using a search engine works, basically. I could go into more detail. We'll skip it right now. A couple cool things to know if you put parentheses around a Google search. Check this out. So if I just search my name, a lot of things are going to come up. Luckily, I'm popping up pretty quickly. Hopefully, that's because of my search and results. But you can see there's other James Rows out there. There's Facebook profiles for people named James Row. All kinds of stuff, right? There's this guy. This guy's popping up. I don't know why James Corden's popping up. Different James. But the issue here, I am popping up a little bit, but is that my last name is also the word row, like a row or a column. So if you search this, it's going to find a bunch of pictures of people named James in row 3 or row 4 or row 5. I just know that from experience, right? But check this out. If you put parentheses around something, that means it's only going to search those two words in that exact order. And that'll be much more specific. And now a lot more James Rows will come up. Isn't that cool? So just some food for thought on Googling things. You can put parentheses around stuff. You can also search pictures if you have a camera. If you're ever confused about what the I'm feeling lucky button does, that just opens up the first result that would come up, the most popular result, the most accurate result. So I never use that, but that's what the I'm feeling lucky button does. All right, so once we understand what searching for things in Google means, what are the other things that come along with the platform? If I click up here, first of all, I have my Gmail, which is the email. We'll cover that in a second. And you can also Google images, which is very common if you want to look up pictures of something. Don't just pull images off of Google, though, and use them in your marketing. They might be a copyrighted photo. So you need to get either take your own pictures or you need to find pictures that are royalty-free. You don't have to pay somebody to use because that is their intellectual property if they created that photo. All right. Now in here, if you click this little row, like this little grid of 9 dots, you'll have all the options. You have your Google Mail, Google Drive, which we'll talk about in a second, and Google Calendar. And Google Maps is helpful too, but you're going to use that more on your phone. The big ones here are going to be Calendar, Gmail, and Drive. That's the ones I want to talk to you about. First, Calendar. I love the Google Calendar. If you get good at this thing, it is incredible. It takes some time. You can watch YouTube videos on how to use the Google Calendar well, and you can get good at it really, really quick. I think one 20-minute YouTube video, and I was a guru at Google Calendar on how to add stuff, or how to move. Like if I want to go to the next month, I know I can click in. Dismiss this to stop me from doing commands. Next month, previous month, I know all the commands. If I want to do by week, if I want to do by month, if I want to do by day, if I want to do by 3-day period, like the little commands, like you learn those pretty well. So Google, super duper helpful, but watch a video, you'll get better at Google Calendar. I could make one, but there's already 1,000 videos on how to use Google Calendar well. There's no point in that. So that's Google Calendar. The next one is the Google Drive. This one's super duper important. This is a cloud or a mobile hard drive for you. So think of it like this, is the easiest way to understand it. Google has invested a boatload of money into a bunch of servers somewhere where people can keep their data. A server is the part of a computer that stores the data, right? So people are going to upload things to that, and Google will store it for them up to a certain amount for free, and then after that certain amount you can pay a monthly subscription and they'll store more for you, right? So your Google Drive is a place where you could save something that's not on your computer that you could access from any computer. Like think of it like this, if I save a contract onto my computer, I can only open it on that computer. If it disappears or breaks or something, it's gone. But if it's on my Google Drive, it can be opened anywhere. Now, pros and cons to that. I'm not in control of something happening. If Google, for some reason, something happens with Google and they said, hey, you don't have access to this anymore, I no longer can access that document. Google is in control of its storage in the end, right? That's the main drawback. The other thing is, notice if it's somewhere being stored, technically I'm sure there are ways that people could find ways to access it, right? Whereas on my computer, that's a lot harder to do because I'm running security, so to speak. But so Google could get hacked. I don't know if that's likely, but I understand that you are assuming a little bit of a risk. Now, does that mean I don't have a lot of my clients' documents on my Google Drive? I have a bunch on there because I do trust Google's security. But, just food for thought for you. That is being stored somewhere other than your computer. But I do love the Google Drive. Now, in the Google Drive, I want to show you that you can add different types of documents. You can save things here, and you can create a document, a sheet, or a slide. Now, know that these are the Google version, the free version of Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, these are great. Don't get me wrong, but the ones from Microsoft are better. Like in the end, they just tend to format better, they're designed better, they transfer from one program to the other better. So if you can't afford the Microsoft suite, it is a good investment. But if you're being frugal right now, Google is completely free, and you can basically get away with just using those. Google Forms is really good as well if you ever need to do like a survey or anything for a client. You can use Google Forms. But you can create these right here. Like if I wanted to create a document, I could create this, title it, and this is basically a free version of Microsoft Word. And anything that I save here will be saved to my Google Drive. And so I can always go back to my Google Drive and open it up and edit it and print it or whatever I want to do. All right, so that's your Google Drive. Now, so I can save documents there. I can share documents from there. Let's now talk about your email. Now, you're going to use your email a lot. So let's go here to my Gmail. This is an email I don't use, so it's completely clear and empty, right? But this is what an email inbox would look like. If I had emails, they would be listed right here. I bet if I go to spam, there's probably some stuff. Nope, nothing in spam. Let's go to trash. All right, so here's some bunch of stuff in the trash room before I emptied it because there's a bunch of nonsense. But here's what emails would look like. This part says who they are from. And if you hover it over, it'll usually say what their actual email address is. I'm thinking of almost like a return address. This is the title in bold. And then this in non-bold, like the lighter font, that is the beginning of the email that you could read through. You can hit this trash can to permanently delete it. You can mark it as read. You can snooze on that to look at it later. Now, and if I click it, it'll open up the email. I can breeze through it, read it. And then my options would be to reply to it, forward it, or delete it. That's basically what you'd want to do. So to reply means I'm just going to send another email, another letter back to the person who sent this to me. If I want to send this to somebody else, so it's like, let's say, hey, I want somebody else to see what was emailed to me, I can forward it to them by hitting forward. That'll add it down here. I can type who I want this to go to. Also know really quick, this is really good to know, CC and BCC. So if I just type somebody's email address to the two, it's just going to go straight to them like a normal email. If I want to send it to multiple people, but I want mainly to go to this person, but I want other people to receive copies, that's what CC stands for. It stands for carbon copy. It means that they're going to get an exact copy. But remember, if you CC somebody on it, they're going to be able to see everybody else that was on the email. So keep that in mind. If you don't want everybody to know everybody's email address, there's another option that is BCC. That stands for blind carbon copy. That means if I want to send somebody a copy, but I don't want them to have anybody else's email to be able to reply to them or anything like that. I don't want them to have communication with anybody else that's receiving the email. Do BCC. Blind carbon copy. That means they receive it, but they don't see anybody else who received it or anything like that. Okay. So that's how I reply or how I forward. If I want to delete something, I can just hit the trash button. It'll go to trash. That's right here. Go back to my inbox, which is empty. So you always want to check and make sure your inbox is clear. If I hit sent, this will show me emails that I've sent out. So if you're like, damn, I sent that to somebody. What did I send it? When did I send it? Did I send that email? Go to your sent folder right here. You can see everything that you've sent. Drafts. Let's say I start to type something up, but then I have to take a break. Google is really good about auto-saving your emails. Now, if it auto-saves, but it does not send, and then you want to go back to it, you can click drafts, and it's probably in there, like the way you last finished it. So you can go back there and you can finish what you started in drafts. If you're like, dang it, I forgot to send that email, I don't want to start all over, go to drafts. It's probably in there waiting for you. All right, other ones that you'll receive. Spam, which is junk mail usually. But sometimes people will send you stuff and it won't show up in your email. And they'll be like, oh no, I sent that to you. Check your spam. Google might have made a mistake and thought that it was spam when it was not. So check that. Now don't open everything people email as well. If you don't know this, if it's a rando thing, people might be doing what's called phishing. And that's phishing with a PH at the beginning. PHISHING, phishing. That means that they are sending an email that is false, that looks like another type of email, but it's not real. Like maybe you receive an email that looks like it's from me. It says, hey, this is James. Click this link below to set up our meeting. And you click it, and it wasn't really from me. They made another fake email named James Rao. You could click that, and that might add a virus to your computer. So be careful what you open. Make sure it's from the correct person. So that's another thing to keep in mind is phishing and spam. And then if you go back to your inbox, a lot of times it'll also have personal or your main inbox, and then a social inbox if you have social media, and then a promotional inbox if you use this email for shopping. So it tries to get promotional stuff from places that you've bought from and hide them out as well. So that's the basics of how to open an email and how to review emails. And then if I want to send one, I hit the compose button up here. Then I need to just do a few quick things. Type who it's to. You type their email. If you want to copy somebody or blind carbon copy somebody, you add them there. Then you title it. So you name the email, whatever attention-grabbing title is going to entice them to open it up. If it's an emergency, like there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, please open immediately. If it's dire, or review documents, or sign contract for your records, things like that. Title it, and then you can type in here whatever you want. Type it just like you would a normal letter, and then hit send to send it over to that person. But before you hit send, a couple good things to know. Know this paperclip button right here. This means you are attaching something to an email. Think of it like you're sending a letter, but I needed to send a picture with it. I could paperclip it to the back, basically. So that's the attach button. If you click that, it'll open up a file explorer and you can click any type of document you want here to attach. So let's say I wanted to attach, let's just go to my Ignite toolkit here. Let's say I wanted to send somebody a 411 template. I could click that, and now that 411 template is attached. Okay, we get it. Dismiss. So now you see 411 template. That's attached to this right here, right? I could send this to my other email, just to show you. That's my main email. And you see it pops up. So it searched this and said, yes, that's a valid email. Click that. Subject, 411 template. I could type a body if I wanted to, and it's attached here. I hit send. It'll give me an option to undo. If you accidentally send too early, there's a little undo option right there you can always do, but it only lasts for a little while, so you gotta hop. Sorry, I keep trying to move this camera to show you. There you go. See, I said, dang, it's too late. But when you first click it, it'll say undo right here, and you can undo and it won't send it right away. All right, let's see. Now, once I've sent it, let me move that camera one more time. Once I've sent it, if I go to send, now that pops up, and you can see I attached that PDF right there. Now, speaking of which, if somebody sent me an email that had an attachment, you can see that it has an attachment right here. So you can see this is who it went to, what it was titled, and what the attachment was. If you open up the email, there's the attachment. You can open it up. If you review it, if you want to do something with it, you can print it, you can add it to your Google Drive, or you can download it. So check it out. I can hit add to Google Drive. And now if I go back to my drive here, you can see in real time it's updated. That's now in that Google Drive. It'll be there forever, unless I delete it. I can also hit print. It'll bring up this print prompt. I can hit print one more time. And then I can print this from my computer if I want to, or I can select what printer I want it to go to. Or I can hit download. Check this out. This is what we're going to talk about a little while. I've been waiting to get to this. So you're going to do this a lot in real estate. People are going to send you contracts and files and all types of things you need to download. You just click this download button right here. You'll see it pop up here on the bottom left. There's that folder right there. Now you have some options. It'll spiral at first. Once it's spiraled and it's quit blinking, you can either you can click it to open it, or you can hit this little arrow, and you can also hit show in folder, which I really like. That brings you directly to downloads. Now let's say that disappears. Like, oh crap, where'd that document go? I needed to access it. Remember, it went to your downloads on your computer. So remember to access that, go down to your taskbar right here on the bottom, and you see the little file explorer. Click that. And go to downloads. There we go. And there it is right there. Click it. That's what I downloaded. Pretty cool, right? So that's how downloading works. We'll talk about zips in a second. That also is a little bit of a pain in the butt. All right, so that should be a pretty good crash course on email. We've talked about reading your inbox, sending, receiving, attaching. Those will be the main things that you're going to do in email. So know how to use your email. That should be the basics that you need right there, though. We've talked about downloading. I also really quickly wanted to talk about zipping. So some files will be too big. Like for instance, like you can't send a 1 hour video in an email. It has to be like a document or a couple pictures or something like that. If it's too big of a file, you want to zip them. Now I'm just going to show you how to download a zip. You're probably going to do that a lot more than you're going to send them. But a good example would be, we go to mykw.kw.com. Log in really quick. I always like to use this as an example. Go to education here. I always tell people, please have the Ignite Toolkit downloaded. You can get it from the Ignite 2.0 Labs under education. Go to material. Scroll all the way to the bottom. And you'll see Ignite Toolkit.zip. See that .zip at the end? That means it's a zip file. So if I click that, it'll download this zip file. The reason I wanted to show you this is when you open this up, you need to do an extra step to add these to your computer. And that is hit extract all. So if you see extract all right here, and then it'll ask me where on my computer I want that to go. I can just have it go to downloads for now. Or I could hit browse and I could select somewhere else I wanted it to go. Like I could hit Ignite Toolkit and add it again. But let's say I just want to go to downloads, I could hit extract. It'll extract them all. What that does, so to explain zip files, computers for some reason, I'm not savvy enough to know why, but they can't send the whole thing, but they can break it down into little tiny pieces and send it. And then the new computer that receives it can reassemble all those pieces. That's basically what zipping is. So when I extracted it, I told my computer to reassemble all of these in the way they're supposed to go. All right. That's a great metaphor. So like think of it like that. So a zip file is like a piece of furniture, right? I can't mail somebody a piece of furniture, but I can break it down into smaller pieces, package it, send it with instructions, and then when the new person receives it, they break out the instructions. It tells them how to reassemble it. Boom, and now you have a piece of furniture. Same thing here. That's what the zip file did. It sent all the little pieces and the instructions on how to put it back together, and the new computer constructs it for you. All right, so now that that's there, I could open up this file, and now there's all those documents. So I did want to touch on zip files really quick because you do see them a lot in real estate, and they can be confusing. All right, so we've talked about the Google platform. We've talked about emails. One other really cool tool, and I want to talk about the taskbar and the zip and the snipping tool really quick too. Two really cool things. Let me just open something up here. There we go. Open a PDF up here. All right. So another really cool item that you have in your computer's repertoire is a snipping tool, right? So this thing is super duper cool. Now earlier we said something was saved as a PDF. You don't need to understand what that means. Just understand that a PDF is a type of file on your computer that is commonly used by real estate agents to send documents. Pictures tend to be JPEGs, but documents tend to be PDFs. And those can be images like this picture, this right here. This is a page that, I mean, you could technically consider a picture because it's got graphs and stuff on it. It's got pictures, but this is a PDF file. A photo, if you just wanted the photo with a lot more detail, that would be a JPEG. But you can just have a simple, unfancy version of the photo as a PDF as well. So I can create PDFs extremely easily using a snipping tool. So this is what the snipping tool looks like. You see right here on the bottom of my taskbar. If that's not there for you yet, go over here to search on your computer and search snipping tool. And it'll show up right there. Now, if you want to use it regularly, right-click it, and you can, mine says unpin from taskbar. So let me unpin mine really quick, and then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to right-click, I'm going to say pin to taskbar. You'll notice down here at the bottom of the screen, when I click this, boop, now snipping tool just popped up right here, so I can always easily access that. I would do that. Here's how the snipping tool works. Open it up. This is what it looks like. Oop. Kind of get it out of the way. Like, let's say I wanted this picture right here, this whole grid. I can just move this out of the way so it's not blocking it. That just kind of helps you. Hit new. And then I like to just hit that corner and then drag it to the opposite corner. There we go. Drag it. You can make it wider or shorter, but just kind of line it up and release. Now I have made a PDF of that exact grid right there. I can draw on it and edit it if I want to, or I can save it. So I can hit this little download button, hit save as, title it, let's just say test snip, and it's suggesting I put this in my stock picks. That's fine with me. Hit OK. And now if I ever want this again, I can go back to my file explorer, go to the file we just saved it in. We saved it in reference docs. I think. No, it wasn't that, wasn't it? It wasn't stock picks. And let's see here. Check this out. We were talking about this earlier. Go to view. Go to sort. Date modified. And there it is. It's the most recent thing we did. If I open this up, here is a PDF of that picture, that specific image that I created. So really cool tool for you. If you ever need to make a little picture of something to send to somebody, you can create a PDF just like that. You can email those, super duper easy. So I love the snipping tool, and we just talked about how to add things to our taskbar. The main things that you want on your taskbar: File Explorer, Google Chrome. The other ones you don't really need. I like having Google Calendar so I can easily access that, but it's not necessary. Microsoft Word is really good, and then Google, of course, and the snipping tool. So those are the main ones I have on my taskbar. Really quick, just to talk about the Microsoft suite, we kind of talked about this earlier, but there's Microsoft Word, which is for typing letters and documents and things like that. There is Excel, which is for spreadsheets, but I'll be honest, I mostly just use Google Sheets because I'm not super fancy when it comes to spreadsheets, and Google Sheets does the job for me. Now for letters and stuff, I do prefer Microsoft Word. And then for PowerPoint presentations, which are slides, I do prefer Microsoft PowerPoint. That software is commonly used for listing presentations and things like that. They tend to be downloaded in the format of a slideshow. So they're easy to edit in PowerPoint. I'm not going to get into how to use the Microsoft suite. I can make a whole nother video on that. But we'll do another one day on Microsoft Word, Excel, and and PowerPoint. But for now, we're going to skip that. All right, so we talked about the Microsoft suite. Let's talk really quick about printing and Zoom, and then we're going to be done. Those are the main things I thought you really needed to know. And this has already been an hour-long video, so let's wrap it up. All right, so I'm going to open this up really quick. I'm going to show you how to print something and kind of how that works. And then I'm going to show you how to use Zoom, because you use Zoom a lot these days. And then we're going to wrap this up. We'll call it quits on computer basics. So if I want to print something, let's just log into my other Google profile really quick, my main one. Really quick, I didn't show you bookmarks earlier. If you ever like a website, if you're at a website and you like it, you want to use it a lot, when you're there, you can just hit this little star button right here, and it'll add a bookmark. You can title it what you want to, and it'll add it to this little row right here. Like, these are the main ones I use a lot. Google Maps, the MLS, my KW, the Pensacola MLS, Santa Rosa County Permit Search, KWEC1, the Santa Rosa County Property Appraiser, Escambia County Property Appraiser, Forewarn, Go Maps 4.0 lets me look up stuff for Santa Rosa County, elevation finders. I mean, you can see I've got a bunch. But for right now, we'll just jump to the MLS. We'll just find something to print. Let me log in here really quick. We'll just find a listing we want to print. Let's say I'm going to a showing. I'm going to show a client a house. Let's just pull a listing. I'm just going to pull this $6 million house just because, I'm a baller. I'm going to ball out. I'm going to show this place. No biggie. Just a $6 million house. Nothing to worry about here. So if I wanted to print this, because I'm going to show this $6 million house, I'd like to at least bring an MLS listing for my client to read over. I could hit print. Print again. And this is what I wanted to show you. So this is the computer's print control station, right? And let me move my camera a little bit so you can see. Oop, I always do that. Move my camera over here so I'm out of the way. All right, so first of all, you see a preview of what the print would look like, right? And then over here, you have a list of different options. First, what printer is it going to go to? If your printer does not show up, you can hit See More, and you can add another printer, but that's going to take a while. It takes a few steps. I'd say it's intuitive, but sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. Hopefully your printer is already there. Or I always like to tell people this option too, save as PDF. So earlier we snippeted something. We did a little snipping tool to make a little PDF. But let's say I wanted this whole document to be a PDF. I can also do that. Hit save as PDF, all pages, save. and then I can name it and select where I want it to go to. This is also really important because, like, sometimes, let's say somebody sends you an offer, right? And when they send you the offer, it's 5 different documents, but it's one big long PDF. You could hit print, save as PDF, and only select the pages specific to like an addendum. Let's say the HOA addendum was pages 13 and 14. I could hit save as PDF, and where it says all pages right here, change that to pages 13 and 14 by hitting custom. Say 13 through 14. That doesn't actually exist on this document, so it's saying that I can't. But usually you could. And then layout, do I want it portrait or landscape? You can also do more settings, by the way. A really good one to know is scale. Is it at 100% to scale? Or sometimes it will say fit to page. Always try and make sure it's at fit to page or 100%, or else the zooming might throw everything off. Hit save, and that would save that to my computer. Now, if I just want to print it, like old school print it off the printer, don't do save as PDF. Do your printer. You can select what pages if you want to customize that, how many copies you want to make. Portrait or landscape is you want it facing like a book or laid out like a painting. What did we say in school? Is it hamburger or hot dog? That's what we said when I was a kid. Maybe I just grew up in Georgia. Is that a Georgia thing? Yeah, get back with me in the comments, guys. Is that a Georgia thing, hamburger and hot dog style? And then do I want it black or white, or do I want it in color? Obviously, color is fancier, but it burns more ink. I print my versions for me in black and white and for my clients in color, so they're easier to delineate between. A little tip for you there. Let's see, and then I hit print, and that would print that to my computer. All right, so we've talked about printing, saving it as a PDF. The last thing I want to talk about is Zoom really quick. Just to kind of give you a crash course on it, just so it's super duper easy. You can make a Zoom profile for free. If you're going to do a lot of hosting Zooms, you're probably going to have to pay $15 a month for the professional version. But just go to zoom.com, make a profile. I'm going to log into mine really quick. And if I wanted to host a meeting, I could just hit host. I usually do with video on. And it'll open up this meeting. And so like, let's say you want to do a virtual listing or buying presentation with somebody out of state. You could do it over Zoom. Super duper easy. Now this is going to open up a Zoom for us. And I'm going to give you a couple quick pointers once you're in Zoom.
Recording in progress.
So we've opened up Zoom. Move my little camera over here again, so I'm out of the way. Now in Zoom, first big things to know. Mute and screen. So down here on the bottom left, mute turns my camera or my microphone on or off for my computer so people can or cannot hear me. Space bar will also control that. So if you're in a Zoom meeting, you hit space bar, it'll mute you, and if you hit space bar again, it will unmute you. Very common for people to be unmuted. And then start video, that would start the camera. Now mine's set up with a recording system, so that's why you're getting this right here, but normally that would bring up the camera. I'm gonna hide that right now. Now, the other quick things to know, if you wanted to share your screen with somebody, you can hit screen share right here. It'll ask you what screen you want to share, hit OK. There's also a whiteboard option, which is pretty cool. But that's how I could show the people on Zoom what I see on my screen. And then finally, participants. So if I click this, this will show me anybody that's in here. It'll show me a chat. Oh, there's a chat option as well. I'm gonna move my camera one more time. So you can see there's nobody else in here, but let's say I wanted to invite somebody in to this Zoom, right? Let's go to participants and then hit invite at the bottom. And I usually just hit Gmail. It'll bring up this tab to my Gmail set up with my profile. And I just type in their email and hit send. And they'll get an email that can open up that link and it'll invite them directly into that Zoom. So Zoom's super duper helpful. I think nowadays it's something that you need to know how to do as a real estate agent. I use Zoom constantly. And then please make sure that when you are done with your meeting on Zoom, you hit end meeting for all. So hit end in the bottom right kind of here and end meeting for all.
Record.
Now, it'll ask you to record it. I'm going to say stop recording because I don't want to actually save this, but usually it'll actually save it onto your computer too, so you have a recording of the meeting. All right, so we have covered a lot. That was over an hour. That was almost, this will be an hour and 10-minute video on computer basics. So I'm going to add bookmarks in here so it's easier to navigate. But that's a lot of info, but that is Computer 101 boiled down. So if you were really, really bad at computers, I am going to do a follow-up to this that goes into more of the software that we use and some more technical stuff like OBS recording or video editing, things like that. But for right now, these are the basics. If you knew all of that, you'd be able to do 90% of everything I do in real estate. So I hope this has been helpful for you that are not as computer savvy. I hope this wasn't too basic for those of you that this was obvious. If it was obvious, wait for Computer 102 from me, the next version. But until then, thank you guys for listening. I hope this was super helpful. And remember, you can always follow up with me at my phone number. Call or text at 850-816-8898. And until next time, I'm your coach, James Rao, and I'll see you.